Hi, and welcome to TalkRx with Dr. Neha. What do you want to know about communicating more effectively with your family, with your friends, maybe with your boss, your colleagues, or your neighbors? I get communication questions every day, and today I'll answer a viewer's question about how to deal with a boss at work. So, Melissa from Colorado wrote, "My boss never talks to me, just at me. I feel disrespected and he's so condescending. How can I let him know without losing my job?" Well, this is a great question, Melissa, and there's several points here. One thing's for sure, that in a work situation, employees who don't feel valued and honored and respected don't perform at the level of the employees who do. So it's in actually both your interest and in the company's and your boss's interest to have this conversation. But you're absolutely right. There's a little bit of work that has to happen first. So there's a way that you're experiencing somehow that your boss is talking at you, not to you. Now you need to get clear first how you're coming up with that idea. Is it your boss's tone of voice? Is it the way he crosses his arms or looks at you? Is it the words he chooses to say to you? Or is it that he chooses to make comments about you in front of the entire group? So the first thing you need to know is, what are you observing in his actions? And can you delineate those as if you were a video camera, observing what he's doing? Is it that he points at you? Sometimes when people point, right, that kind of feels weird, right? I shouldn't be pointing at you. Use your whole hand. So what is the gesture or way that you are picking up that your boss is talking at you, not to you? The second piece is you've now turned that into, he's so condescending. Now, whenever you're starting to figure out a communication with somebody else, pay attention to who it's with. Since it's with your boss, I would venture to guess that there might be a parent or an authority figure in your life where you've felt this way before. So you want to ask yourself that. Have I ever felt this way before, and with whom outside of my situation with my boss? And that can give you some insight to some parallels that might be happening. The next is, it's time for you to get clear about and curious about how you communicate with your boss. What do you do once that happens? Do you become passive aggressive? Do you get sarcastic? Do you start talking about your boss, not to him, with other colleagues? What strategy have you been using to survive this dynamic that hasn't been working for you? So once you pay attention to all of those ideas, you now are ready to have a conversation with your boss. You also want to be clear actually about what you want to ask him for. So this is how, and yes, the answer to your question is yes. Can I have this conversation without getting fired? Yes, you can. You want to give him the honor and respect that you're hoping for. So what you would say is something like this. I'm going to make up the details because I don't have them here. It would be something like this. Hey, John, when's a good time for us to sit down for 15 minutes? There's something that's been on my mind and how I'm showing up in our communication and relationship as a boss and colleague that has been on my mind. So when's a good time for us to talk? So he may say tomorrow at 11 a.m. So definitely choose to have that conversation, if you can, in person. If you can't, you could always do it on video chat or on the phone. But it's always good to have as much contact with someone so you can pick up their body language, their tone, their words, and get a bigger picture of what's happening. There's less chance for miscommunication, especially when something is this important to you. So once you've set that conversation up for success, and he might say, "What's this about?" And if he does, what you say is, "Well, I've been thinking about how I'm showing up in our relationship, and I think I could do it better, and I think I could be a better communicator, and I'd like to share that with you. There's some questions I haven't asked that I think I should, and I think it would improve our relationship and help me be more productive." Now he's going to be interested in finding out what that is. That's a very different way than phrasing it by saying something like, "You talk at me, not to me, and you're condescending. That's why we need to have a meeting." So I'm pretty sure you can see the difference between those, or hear the difference between those. Put yourself in your boss's shoes. Now, as you get ready for this conversation, ask yourself, how would you like to show up? Do you want to show up defensive, guarded, and closed? Or would you like to show up open, curious, and as a good listener? I'm pretty sure it's the latter if you want to make sure this relationship goes on for some time to come. So get clear about how your body language shows up. Are you open? Are you breathing? Are you coming to him with the intention to connect to him? So the conversation would sound something like this. Well, thanks, John. Thanks for meeting with me. What I've noticed over the past few months is 3 experiences that kind of have me thinking about this long after we have an exchange. And one of them was when in our meeting with the marketing team, you told them, something that I didn't do as well as you had hoped. And it was about X, Y, and Z. So make sure you're specific about what that was. And just what he said. Exactly what he said. And then you say to him, I noticed I had a strong reaction and I shut down, and I never told you about that. And instead, I just started to be more reserved, and I talked to some other people about it. And that was not the right way for me to handle it. I need to have that conversation with you. If there's ever anything that I do that you're not pleased with, could we have a conversation just like we're having right now instead of talking about it in front of the team? Would that work for you? And then it's your job to breathe and listen. The second example was, I noticed that when we were talking, you pointed your hand at me. And it just felt a little intimidating, and I felt like I was a child that had done something wrong, almost. And I guess what I noticed is that you get really passionate and excited when you're talking, and sometimes it comes across to me as you're, the adult and I'm the child. And so I noticed that doesn't work as well for me. Do you remember what I'm speaking about? It's always a good idea to ask someone if they even remember what it is you're asking them about. Or a third example of that would be, hey, John, when I asked you if I could take the week's vacation to go on my annual family retreat, your tone changed and you looked down and away. And I felt like I was in trouble or something was wrong. It almost felt a little bit, the tone you used seemed to be a little condescending to me. I don't know if that was your intention or what you were trying to convey, but can you tell me what was happening for you? Now, the truth is you can leave that part out about the condescending piece, and what you can say is, when I spoke to you about vacation, you changed your tone. What happened? And you can just shift from telling him what it was that you observed and asking a question. I think that's actually the better way to do it when you're speaking with your boss. Let him fill in all the blanks. And you may find out that it was something very different than what you thought. I'm pretty sure it is, because I'm pretty sure he wants to keep you as much as you'd like to stay in this job. So it is your job as well to equally, contribute to this conversation and make sure that you're showing up and communicating with him if something is wrong. So I hope that was helpful, and thanks everybody for listening, because I would also love to hear your questions. What keeps you up at night? What has you wondering how you might change your own communication or change a relationship with someone else? So drop me a tweet at #AskDrNeha, AskDoctorNeha, or you can actually write in the comments below. I really can't wait to hear what you're wondering about.